So we've been seeing Games Workshop aggressively move against certain and select YouTube channels. And we're not going to focus on the yes or the no, or should they be doing this? How does this impact the community? They've laid out their terms of service. They've laid out and said anything related to Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, etc., their IP, you need to license it through them. So if you have an animation involving a Space Marine, can I even say Space Marine? I should say Space Roman. If you have that, you can't have that. They're going to shut that down aggressively. And we saw this shift with the focus of Warhammer Plus pulling on various content creators. And perhaps, like me, in the beginning, you were excited because you have these amazing 40K content creators. I can't even imagine the hours that they're putting into creating that. I mean, yes, absolutely, they have the talent. But that talent alone, combined with lots and lots of hours, for no profit, just for the love of the community, just for the love of getting people psyched for 40K. And I got to tell you, some of those fan animations, they sold kits. I got pumped. Okay, admittedly, I've got poor impulse control, but I have to give credit where it's credit. I got pumped watching that. I went out and bought a bunch of Space Marines. I don't even need more Primaris. I don't even need more Space Marine stuff, but I got so pumped. Those animations, those videos, finally, Psychers done right. Those videos made Games Workshop money from an enthusiast that does not need more Space Marines. They made more money. That's it. So Games Workshop wants to control all that. They're dominating that. They brought a few content creators on board. We thought that was going to work out well, and now we see they're just basically trying to shut down everything. Now, this is spilling over to, and you don't have to directly shut things down. You just lay it out, make a few examples. And now we have other YouTube content creators asking the question, if they're not animators, if they're involved in lore, if they're involved in paint channels, if they're involved in certain things navigating Games Workshop IP, they're asking the question, what if Games Workshop comes after me? Or do I want to navigate that? Do I want to continue putting the love, the time, and the effort into my operations on YouTube here just to have it shut down, just to literally have it vanish one night with literally zero recourse? So it's very, very unique and interesting times here on YouTube. But Patreon is next. Patreon is next. How can it not be? So we have this whole ecosystem outside of YouTube that is generating fan content, art, lore, some animation. Now, some of it is linked through YouTube. Some of it's a little more for subscribers only on Patreon. But there is a tremendous amount of creator support on there. Games Workshop has to come for that next. They have to. And if you're creating 40K artwork that looks amazing, you are utilizing Games Workshop's IP. Under their new terms of service, you have not paid for that. It has not been approved. You have not licensed it. The ban hammer is going to come down on you. So I'm sitting here looking at the internal timeline. It's only a matter of time over to Patreon. And that's going to be a big blow to the 40K content creation community, because Patreon allows you to directly interface with that content creator. So if you really enjoy that work and it's a part of your life and it has helped grow the 40K community, you can directly support that person and their Patreon channel. That's going to happen. The other question I ask, there's a lot of legacy stuff out there on the internet, and like legacy, still very, very viable. Now, maybe not as powerful, certainly not a juggernaut like YouTube or Patreon, but there are certain sites, certain forums, old school forums, still extremely valuable in terms of tactics and community and networking. They're utilizing Games Workshop IP. They're utilizing images. They're using artwork. They might be utilizing some animation. How do they continue? What happens to them? Now, maybe they're very, very low on the list, but this, I have never seen anything like this before, where so many creators, content creators, interfacing to the 40K universe. And I have to assume similar to Age of Sigmar, it's just not as old or evolved out. They're all asking themselves, where do we navigate from here? How do we navigate this? And Games Workshop has made it so like nebulous where you're like, I can't even interpret what this means. It could really mean anything. It could really mean anything. So very, very interesting, very, very unique times. But from that perspective, agree or disagree, look, once they're done wrapping up YouTube here, which I think the internal timeline is before Plus launches, I would not be surprised if Patreon is next on the hit list.